What if it's the very act of trying that's getting in the way of the doing? What if it's your very effort in trying to make something happen that is interfering with your ability to do it? Now that kind of seems counterintuitive. You'd think the more effort you apply to something, the more potential there is to succeed in doing that thing. But see, we are very complex organisms. We are a very complex little thing going on here, where when we think of moments of high performance, moments of deep immersion and deep engagement in a particular activity, what I'm talking about is a flow state. When we think of being in a flow state, whether you're playing sports or writing or making music or painting or exercising or driving or cooking, whatever your thing is, when we think of those moments of flow, those moments where of deep immersion and deep engagement in that thing that we're doing, if you were to ask somebody who was just in a state of flow, what was it like being in that state of flow? We'll often say things like, I don't know what it was like. I wasn't thinking. I was in the zone. It was all just happening. I was just flowing. It was happening just naturally. I wasn't doing anything. You know? We have all this vocabulary in describing flow states that is indicative of the flow being a result of losing ourselves. And the self that we lose as a result of entering into a state of flow is the very same self that applies effort in trying to get something done. You think of writer's block. Writer's block is when you're trying to write a book, but it feels like there's this mental jam, this block in your mind that is blocking the flow of creativity from coming through you and out onto the pen and paper or out onto the document that you're writing or whatever it is. Now, writer's block is something that sort of permeates through all fields of creativity. Writer's block is when you're getting in your own way. Whether you've realized it yet or not, writer's block is when you are trying to play God. You are overly trying, excessively applying effort to make your art. But art is a natural expression. Art is a natural flow. You look at the universe around you and the beauty of nature around you and the waves washing and crashing up against the seashore. Do you think they're trying to be that aesthetically beautiful? The wind whirring through the trees. Do you think the wind is trying to sound beautiful? Do you think the leaves are trying to move in a particular way to please our ears? It's all happening naturally. And see, the most beautiful art and the highest performance that we can come from is when we let ourselves flow naturally, when we essentially get out of our own way. Now think about the word attention for a moment. Let's talk about writing. Stay on the track of writing. When you're writing, you apply your attention onto the writing. But see, it's a fine balance. You're walking a razor's edge, because as your attention starts to increase, so too does the effort increase, and naturally, as a result of that, the flow will decrease. As your attention increases, the flow decreases, because attention is a tension of the mind. Attention is a restriction of mental faculty, of mental flow, of mental clarity. Now, once again, that sounds counterintuitive. You'd think the more you apply your attention, the better you'll be at it. But attention is a restriction. It's a sort of frustration of the mind. Attention is assuming that it's a lack of trust in your own ability to naturally express your art. Attention is you doubting your own wisdom, you doubting your own creative flow, your own creative artistic passion. So you're writing and you really want to get this thing written, so you pay more attention to it. You apply more attention. You try harder. So now it's not coming out of like this collective, unique, natural expression of art and uniqueness and creativity, but rather it's coming out of you trying to be creative, you trying to make it happen. And see, our bodies are smarter than that ego that's trying to make things happen, and it can sense the phoniness in it. And so it will stop that flow. It will stop that flow. And next thing you know, with this deep attention on trying to write, with this overly excessive effort in trying to be creative, an hour goes by and you look at what you've written and you're like, this is bogus. This isn't me. This is horrible. I'm trying so hard. Now think about the energy of trying for a moment. You know what I'm saying? Let's say you're out in public or at a bar or something, and you're trying to find somebody, trying to hook up with somebody. That energy of trying emanates from you. It's not a natural state of being. It's a state of desperation. It's a state of effort. As if you don't trust yourself. As if you're insecure with yourself. And that energy emanates. You ever tried to get with somebody and realize that it's the very trying that's interfering with your ability to flow naturally? Like you go up and you try to start a conversation. You might as well open the conversation by saying, hey, I'm trying to start a conversation with you. That's natural. That's where you're coming from. But see, we don't say that because we don't want to reveal our true intention, so we try to start a conversation. How you doing? You know, and we get all weird and robotic and glitchy, and our natural beauty, our natural confidence, our natural creativity, our natural value is depleted by our effort, by our trying. We're getting in our own way because we don't trust that it will happen naturally. I've shared this example before, but years ago I used to work in a restaurant. And if you've ever worked in the restaurant business, you know that sometimes it's slow and then sometimes you are absolutely slammed to the wall. And when I would get slammed, when I would get really busy, when a rush would hit, oftentimes I would go into a state of flow. And in that state of flow, like I was describing earlier, I'm not trying to do anything. It's happening naturally, spontaneously, and effortlessly. I'm grabbing the ticket and calling this out and putting that down and flipping that and starting that and plating that and grabbing the ticket. And it's this flow. It's this harmonious, spontaneous, effortless dance. And it's liquid. I'm not losing any energy in that moment. It's just happening. And then when the rush dies down, you're like, 2 hours has gone by and you're like, where just was I? Same thing goes with writing. Same thing goes with sports. Same thing goes with making music. In art, in flow, there is no loss of energy. There is no exertion. It's just flow. It's just natural. And see, in the restaurant, back when I worked at the restaurant, there would also be times where, as the rush started, I tried to start doing everything. I was trying. I was applying effort. And in those moments, I start getting overwhelmed, I start getting flustered, I start making mistakes, I start not doing things very clearly. And so I get slammed, I get backed up, I need help, I start getting frustrated with myself. And then sometimes I'd completely bog down and somebody would have to come take over my station and help me out. All because I was trying. Like I'm saying, it seems counterintuitive. How come when I try, it interferes with my ability to do? Well, it's because we know how to be without the ego trying to be. You know what I'm saying? We are natural. And our job, if we want to act from a place of high performance and clarity, is to get out of our own way. You know? And what's beautiful is Eastern religion, Eastern spirituality, Eastern mysticism has been emphasizing this for thousands of years. That spirituality and flow and harmony and union with the universe comes by getting out of our own way. In Taoism, there's called wu wei, which is inaction. Now, that doesn't mean nothing's happening. It means you stop trying to make stuff happen. And when you stop trying to make stuff happen, you allow the universe to naturally flow through you. You're not blocking yourself. You're not getting in your way. You know? That's like trying to make things happen is like going up to a river that's flowing naturally and using your hands to keep it moving along. It's happening naturally. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to apply any effort. It's happening naturally. You know? In Taoism, they say that a house is useful because of the emptiness inside of it. You know? A house is only good when there's emptiness inside of it so that you can get in there. You know what I'm saying? The house is useful because of the space within it. When you carve a sculpture out of wood or out of stone or marble, you don't create the statue. The statue reveals itself by you chipping away from the block of wood or the block of marble or whatever it is. Creativity and high performance and usefulness, quality, value comes out of letting go. It comes out of emptying. You know, a flow state isn't something you gain. It's not a skill you gain. A flow state is something you return back to when you stop doing something. And the thing that you stop doing is trying to make stuff happen. You know, I have this video game that I play. It's PUBG, if any of you wanted to know. And it's literally the only game I play. And it's a shooter game, a FPS shooter game. And it requires a lot of skill. It's very competitive, and it's really hard. And to me, when I play that game, it's like brain food. It takes hand-eye coordination, it takes strategy and tactic, it takes quick reflexes. And see, here's the thing. I'm really good at that game when I'm not trying to be good. And when I try to be good, the second I try to do this right or try to make that happen, boom, I die. So, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting that it's our very trying that is getting in the way of our ability to do? Entering a flow state is an act of faith. It's an act of faith that your body and your body, mind, and spirit has what it takes to engage in the activity at hand with a very high success rate. All it takes is for you to trust it and to let go, to stop trying to make it happen. You can trust your body. You can trust that it will happen naturally. You know? Like, think about you're preparing to give a presentation or something. You can absolutely, you know, like stage fright. Or, you know, I experience it with the videos sometimes. Like, over preparation, overly anticipating what's about to happen gets in your own way of being able to perform the presentation, or to give the presentation, rather. So, when you're trying really hard to give the presentation, oh my God, what am I going to say, and how is it going to happen, and what are they going to think, and oh my God, how should I stand, and when should I go to the next slide? You're getting in your own way. You're flustering your own mind. But then if you just show up and you put yourself in the position for the presentation to happen naturally, it happens, and you're not trying to go from one thing to the next. It's just flowing, you know? It's our effort that is getting in the way of our potential. The effort, like I've been saying, is a kind of distrust, a lack of faith that we have what it takes to act from a high place, a place of wisdom, a place of creative expression. And it's so interesting that, when you lose yourself in a flow state, what are you losing? You're losing the ego. You're losing the one who thinks they are the doer, the one that makes things happen. You lost yourself in the art. You lost yourself in writing the book. You lost yourself in surfing or playing the sports. You lost yourself while you were preparing a meal, or while you were cooking, or while you were at work. The losing yourself is getting rid of the tension of your mind, and everything sort of aligns. Everything comes into harmony, comes into union. You all know the term yoga. The word yoga translates to union. And the word union implies that something is unifying with something else. Something is becoming one with something else. And in my understanding, it is the separate self, the false self, the little s self, the ego, it's the little self merging back into the big self, the all-encompassing self, the natural self, the wise self. Union, yoga, is an act of coming back into union and harmony with the universe. Because we've severed ourselves. We've severed ourselves from the universe and from our natural, innate wisdom, and we think we need to make things happen. We need to apply effort to make it happen. We need to try harder. If you fail, you need to try harder. But the spiritual path and the path of acting from a place of wisdom is realizing that it's the very trying that's getting in the way. So eventually you just say, I'm just going to let go. I'm going to let go and let God, as you've probably heard it said. I'm going to trust the universe. And as you continue to do that, you find yourself merging, unifying, coming into yoga with the universe once again. And what comes out of you in that state is your true potential. When you let go and you let the universe flow through you, that's who you really are. The one that's trying to make things happen for whatever motive and intention it's trying to make things happen for, you know? It's trying to be creative, or it's trying to get with this person, or it's trying to get rich, or it's trying to be popular, or it's trying whatever, you know? It's trying to offer something. Whatever the intention is that's creating the effort, when you let go of that and you stop trying to make things happen and rather let things happen, that's who you truly are. Who you truly are isn't the one who's trying to make things happen. Who you truly are is the natural happening, you know? So the art, the task at hand is to stop trying so hard. Let it be. Let it flow. The act of flow is probably the one thing that all of our greatest artists, all the most beautiful, creative expressions that this earth has ever produced, that's the one thing they all understand, is that it's something else coming through. It's a channeling. It's a flowing of something deeper than who we take ourselves to be. And see, it's this kind of high. It's this kind of... There's this ecstasy within flow state. There's this bliss within flow state. We're completely idle. We're not trying to make things happen. They're happening naturally. We're realizing everything is just flowing. It's all liquid. It's this dance. We're not trying to make it happen. And within that, there is such serenity and tranquility and stillness. And out of that stillness comes mental relaxation. No more resistance, no more blocking, no more flowing. I mean, no more trying to make things flow. And when we come out of that state of flow, we think, damn, that was awesome. That was a good state. And then we try to get back into it. We try to get back into the flow. And when we try to get back into the flow, we're getting in it. We're creating more and more resistance. When you try to repeat the moment of high activity that you had yesterday or a week ago or whatever it is, it's not as genuine, it's not as natural, it's not as organic. But then you will find yourself in another moment of that flow. And it's like you can't even anticipate it. You can't even really see it coming. It just is natural. You know, it's natural. It's who we really are. What's unnatural is the one who tries, the one who's trying to make everything happen and plan this and coordinate that and make sure that happens and don't forget that. That's a huge thing, man. That's a huge thing, because entering flow, not even necessarily at will, but being able to enter flow again and again and again, more and more consistently, more and more regularly, is an act of faith. You're trusting that the universe knows how to do its own thing. It knows how to flow. It knows how to express itself. The ego, the doer, is the one who thinks, I need to make sure this happens, and if I let go into the flow, who's gonna remind me to do that? And how am I gonna make sure I still have my responsibilities in doing that? And who's gonna get me up in the morning? And who's gonna take the trash out? And the ego, the doer, the one who tries to make everything happen, doesn't trust the universe, doesn't have faith in its own wisdom. And so it tries to be the master. It tries to be the master. But as you continuously experience flow, you start to realize that when you let go, when you relax, when you stop trying to make everything happen, something starts to move through you. It's like there's this dam or this jam in the channel of your being that when you let go, it unjams and it just starts to flow. And out of that flow is spontaneous action. Natural, effortless action. And when you're not trying to make your next move, when you're not trying to act from a place of wisdom, I'm trying to be wise, I'm trying to be a good person, I'm trying to do good. When you stop trying, something starts to move through you. And when that thing starts to move through you, there's natural action that comes out of that. You start to realize that you're being done by life when you're flowing. Something's moving through you, man. Something's moving through you. Tai Chi is an example of spontaneous energy flow. You know? That's the universe moving through you. In yoga, asanas, which are bodily positions, that is an absolutely profound and incredibly deep expression of natural spontaneous energy. There wasn't somebody that thought, okay, now I'm gonna do an a downward dog. Now I'm gonna salute the sun. Now I'm gonna stand on my head. They weren't trying to do something. It was a natural, spontaneous expression of the universe. It's a flow of energy. And the very flow of energy that creates that spontaneous movement, you know, is the very same energy that our creative expression comes from. The same energy that flows, like when you're dancing. You're not trying to do this and then do that and try to do that. It's just a flow, baby. It's just happening naturally, you know? That same flow, that lack of effort, is where art comes from. That's where you live. You live in the world of effortlessness and the natural, innate wisdom of the universe. The trier, the doer, is the false self, the little self, you know what I'm saying? And being in the flow means trusting the universe. You're getting out of your own way. You know? I've heard it described by Alan Watts before. Think about what's the difference between seeing something and really looking hard at something. What's the difference between hearing and really listening closely and intently? The difference is attention, as I described it earlier. A tension of the mind. The difference is the ego trying to do what's happening naturally. You're not seeing any better when you try to see. This whole video you've been seeing naturally. What does it mean to try to see and really look closely? You don't know how to you don't know how you're seeing. It's happening naturally. It's the universe happening naturally. You can't see better by trying to see better. If that were the case, blind people would just try to see. Just see, bro. You know? The one that's trying to see thus realizes they have no power. You know what I'm saying? When you try to hear, you're not hearing any better by trying to listen closely. You can focus what you're hearing on different aspects of the sounds around you, but you're not hearing anything more or less. The trier, the doer, is just a thought. It's just a thought, and it's getting in your way. It's getting in your way. It's impeding and interfering with your true potential, with your true power. Your true power that comes by letting go into the universe. Letting you be. You know? When you think of like social interaction, for example, when you're trying to come off a certain way, kind of like I was talking about earlier, and trying to hook up with somebody, trying to start a conversation, that is an energy of trying. It's not an energy of being. An energy of being is an energy of confidence, an energy of security and wholeness and completion within who you are. You're not wondering, am I good enough for them? Am I being weird? Did that come off weird? Am I funny enough? Am I good looking? You know, am I cool enough to be with them? Oh no, that sounded weird. You know, all that trying, all that effort. Stop that. Be you, bro. Be you. Let yourself be. You know, it's such a subtle art. I could call this video the subtle art of not trying. Maybe I will. We need to learn how to trust who we are naturally. We need to learn how to be more in harmony with natural action, with spontaneous action that arises out of a deeper place of the universe. Not the one that's trying to make something happen because of its desires and fears. Not action that arises out of attachment and aversion, but action that arises out of being idle, being calm and tranquil within ourselves. So, if you want to really touch into your potential, what you need to learn to do is to let go more. Let go more. Trust the universe. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. And if you did enjoy, consider subscribing and leaving a like on this video because it really helps me out and it helps get this video recommended to more people like you. If you're feeling stressed, lost, anxious, restless, ungrounded, or anything in between, I highly recommend you go and check out my free 45-minute guided meditation that's available here on YouTube. This meditation is aimed towards tuning you back into your natural, authentic self. Something that is all too easy to lose sight of in this racy culture that we live in these days. Listening to this meditation will point you back towards your fundamental self. It will bring you back to the basics. It will bring you back to the effortless, natural self that you are, which is, as I said, so easy to lose sight of. And I can promise you that listening to this meditation will put you in a place of tranquility and will tune you back into the innate wisdom of your being. So again, if you're feeling stressed, restless, ungrounded, lost, or anything of that nature, go and check out this guided meditation, and I can assure you that it will at least tune you back in to your immediate surroundings and the tranquility and peace that is present in this moment. I will link this meditation right here in the video, and I really hope this helps, and I hope to see you there.